Focused governments strive to deliver dividends of democracy to the people. This has become prominent in the Nigerian political arena since 1999, when the present democratic dispensation came on board. The reason is not far-fetched. In a country where so much hope was raised following the return of democratic governance, it is therefore not out of place for public officials to gear efforts towards these aspirations as democratic dividends. Based on this, our nation therefore needs to set a solid ground for sustainable development and long-term well-being of the people. Therefore, to do this, the infrastructure must be rebuilt to suit the needs of the people. In Lagos State, to say that Lagosians have had a good dose of dividends of democracy is just stating the obvious. Since its inception in 1999, conscious and deliberate policies and programs aimed at meeting the state's teeming populace at their points of critical need have been implemented. In this regard, focus will show tonight how the present administration has brought up measures to improve on the educational sector of the state. As a determined administration, propelled by pragmatism and desire to make a difference in the lives of the future leaders, that is the youths, the administration has brought about innovative policies which have continued to put smiles on their faces. With free and qualitative education as one of its 10-point agenda, the present administration of Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu continues to come out with programs that are touching, encouraging, and soul-lifting at bringing education back to its former state. One can say that from the beginning, the present administration's commitment to bringing back the lost glory in education has been total. Almost every area of education felt the touch and impact of a committed administration. Thus, from recruitment of teachers to improving students' welfare, the newly appointed teacher generals, the paying of WAEC fees for SS3 students, which people thought was a joke when it was initiated, to the development of infrastructure, it is obvious that the state education sector has never been the same. One area where this effort is most pronounced is provision of infrastructure. Without being immodest, this administration has spent considerable amounts of effort to providing educational infrastructure that will guarantee a conducive and convenient learning environment for the state's large population of students. Here, the Millennium School project is a statement of class, convenience, and comfort. In order to improve the infrastructure of public schools, the present administration came up with a special committee for rehabilitation of public schools, SCRPS, with the responsibility to halt further deterioration, improve on existing facilities, construct new classroom blocks to replace dilapidated schools, and provision of furniture. The special committee became necessary due to the state of infrastructural facilities in both primary and secondary public schools, which had witnessed gradual deterioration due to, among others, the high population brought about by the influx of people into Lagos and non-maintenance of school buildings. The state has about 935 public primary schools, 300 public junior secondary schools, and 294 public senior secondary schools, most of which were crying for renovation. Faced with the challenge of bringing back the lost glory in education, the special committee immediately swung into action. The extent to which it has gone to bring about improvement in this all-important sector cannot be overemphasized.
The Special Committee for Rehabilitation of Public Schools in Lagos State has rehabilitated 449 classrooms and constructed 524 classrooms from May 2005 till to date.
To carry out the job effectively and efficiently, the committee had to liaise with relevant government agencies, especially the Ministry of Education and the State Primary Education Board, who are stakeholders, to get detailed information on the status of both primary and secondary schools in the state.
The Lagos State government, the Ministry of Education has been divided into 6 districts. So I can tell you in a nutshell what we have done, the number of blocks we have done in each district. We have, we have now Tutor General / Permanent Secretaries, and so we have 6 districts. District 1, to date, we have covered about 29 buildings. In District 2, about 33. In District 3, we've done about 31. District 4, we've done about 20 buildings. In District 5, about 14, and District 6, we've done about 16 buildings.
Based on collated information, projects were divided into phases so as to make it more effective. In the phase 1 of the project, 29 primary and secondary schools felt the touch of the committee. Over 7 new secondary schools of 12 classrooms each with toilets, principals' offices, staff rooms and other facilities, while about 20 primary schools were constructed 6 classroom block each with toilets, offices and some with hostels. In the phase 1, a total of 250 new classrooms came into existence. The committee also embarked on the phase 2 of the project. Under this second phase, the phases were divided into phases 2A and 2B. This phase 2 saw to the construction and rehabilitation of over 30 schools.
I say very big thank you to the government for what they have done for us, because this new building which is there for us makes it much easier for us to learn, because when we're in the former building, whenever it's raining, the rain disturbs us, so the students have to gather in a particular area and no teacher comes to the class by then. But now, whenever it's raining, no matter the condition, teachers will come to teach us, so we learn more conducively and we read our books better than before. And I want to thank the governor for the new chairs he has brought for us in the building.
Very great about it because it has changed our outlook for things in the school. Before, the school was in a state of ruins, shambles, everything was nothing to write home about. But with the coming of the Lagos State Governor and the state government to this place, it has changed a lot of things about this school, and I'm proud of this school and I'm proud of the Lagos State government.
And now this is the third phase of the project. This was the state of the schools before now. The committee set to work on this third phase in January 2006. Work is progressing on the phase 3 project, and when completed will not be different from others. It is not all about classroom to make the project worthwhile. Other facilities have been provided in the schools like laboratories, furniture and fittings, borehole and overhead tanks, drainage amongst others. One thing that cannot be taken away from the committee is the value for money with which it operates. In spite of the huge amount of money involved, the committee has been able to reduce expenses.
The committee has spent about 2.1 billion naira for both the rehabilitation and construction of new schools to date. For phases 1, 2A and 2B, we have completed all our work. We don't have any abandoned projects. Phase 3, which started in February, the percentage of completion of work done is about 80%. In fact, some of our contractors have even completed their job. So by the end of this month, we must have achieved about 90% total completion. Then there is another thing I want to draw viewers' attention to. As a chartered accounting surveyor, I'm more interested in cost per classroom of what the state is doing compared with what other states are doing. It was in the newspaper about 3 weeks ago that the Japanese government has intervened in some states. And I did a brief cost analysis to compare what they have spent with what we are doing. Their own cost is about 4.6 million naira per classroom. And our own cost in Lagos State, even in areas where we have raft foundation, where the soil is bad, and where we have provided borehole, and where our specification is second to none, I can boast of that, because roofing sheets is aluminum. Even our ceiling now, we don't even use asbestos ceiling, we use PVC. And tiles in toilets, on both the wall and on the floor, including the desk, for both teachers and students, our own cost is about 2.7 million naira per classroom. So, just to tell you that we really give value for money. For every kobo we spend in this, in this committee, we give value for money.
Meanwhile, unknown to many people, the agency has come up with what is known as the SOS project. The project takes care of replacement of damaged roofs, re-roofing of leaking structures, construction of collapsed fences, construction of collapsed culverts, and replacements of damaged handrails and guardrails. In all, over 142 schools have been taken care of under the SOS project. With the recent spate of collapsed buildings around the country, the committee has taken painstaking efforts to see to the quality of materials used in constructing the building so as to meet up with required standards.
And when we're putting up this type of building, we have various materials that is incorporated to the construction works. The first of which is the cement, the sand, the iron rods, the roofing timbers, the materials for tiling, and various other materials, WC materials, electrical materials. By the time we look at all these materials, there are various standards set aside for them. In terms of the cement, we have various manufacturers within the country abiding by Nigerian standard organizations. So we believe they comply with that. So we ensure that we pick cement directly from the manufacturers. We insist that contractors pick the cement directly from manufacturers. For the issue of iron rods, we have observed for quite a while that the iron rods produced locally have some problems of low sulfur, and by so it breaks easily. It is brittle. So we always insist that they buy those imported iron rods, because we found over a period of time that they are more reasonable. We even go to the extent of carrying out testings. We go for tensile stress testing and other testings. So apart from the fact that all these things comply with the iron rods comply with the standards, we do individual tests to ensure that it complies with what we want. That goes with that. In terms of the sand, essentially sands, we ensure that mere looking at sand, you can always ascertain what should be good enough. sands having some clays, you will always see it. Sands having some shells, you see it. So whenever we have situations, either we tell them to move them out of sight, or we tell them to go and sieve. And all these are all monitored by our staff. In terms of plumbing materials, we have set a standard. We always recommend that they must buy products of either typhoid or equivalent. Whatever products they are buying, we try to ensure that we don't strict ourselves to a particular manufacturer, so that it doesn't seem as if we are doing a patronage. But we ensure that we keep with that standard, and we ensure that they abide by them. That goes to the plumbing materials. In terms of the electrical materials, we ensure that they use temping materials and others that are equivalent. As I said, we don't strictly force them to stay with a particular product. We ensure that we do some tests and to carry out whether the things are okay. But for the electrical side, we have some instruments we use to carry out this test to ensure that it complies with what we want. In terms of the cables, we have reasonable cable manufacturers in the country. We have Micron, we have Cable Metal, Nokaku, and all that stuff. All the same, we ensure that they meet with the standards required. These are some of the things we do.
To make sure contractors comply with conditions given them, inspections are carried out from time to time, and also to ensure qualitative job done, completed and delivered on time. This has been a challenge for the committee.
134 of this type of 17+1 buildings abandoned since 1991. Today, the committee has completed 6. This was done within 3 months at a cost of about 32 million naira.
And as common with this present administration of Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu, many projects like this, for the sake of continuity, the private sector is involved. This is not surprising though, as everybody wants to be involved in good and uplifting projects, and this is one of such.
The opinion is that the need to rehabilitate Lagos schools can never be overemphasized. Even though Lagos State is small in size, but the population of students in Lagos State is by far more than the population of students even in big states. My advice to other philanthropy is that they should do all within their power to assist government, either local level, state level, or federal level. Because I am satisfied that no matter how very rich the government is, the government can never meet the needs of all its citizens.
The ongoing massive rehabilitation of public primary and secondary schools in the state has, among others, has the potential of motivating both teachers and students alike to pay serious attention to education. Obviously, this is different from what obtained in the past, and it has come as a surprise to many people who believe that this future generation are not enjoying dividends of democracy. With the completion of this project, it will undoubtedly reduce tremendously the student classroom ratio of 120 students per classroom, and it will surely impact on the learning environment.
In fact, we are quite highly appreciative of this gesture. The rehabilitation started last session. We are quite happy that the standard at which the structures are now are quite in good order. The rehabilitation started quite well, and the speed at which the exercise was carried out was quite commendable as well. 4 structures of Jakonde buildings were demolished, and you can see what is springing up now. Prototype building of 12 classrooms, then a bungalow of 6 classrooms as well. This befitting multi-purpose hall. In fact, this is a good development in the regional sector. So we are quite appreciative of what the Lagos State Government, Asiwaju Governor Ahmed Tinubu, has done, and we say that it's a right step in the right direction.
In fact, the difference there is clear, as you can see now. When I started this school, we used to stay in a block, in a class where we don't feel comfortable. And in fact, I call that place a poultry. There is no animal that can survive in such a class, in such a room, where there are no windows, no fans, no adequate chairs, no nothing. In fact, the floors are not okay. At times when we stay in the classroom, you will experience, the dust particles in the class will always be much. But now, at least, we have, a modern building, modern classrooms, we have all the facilities there, the fans are all working, the fluorescent lights, windows, at least. In fact, when we were using the former building, whenever it is raining, in fact, there was a day we were sitting for an exam like that, and it was raining. In fact, we were moving away from our class to somewhere else.
School is better than before. At least you can invite colleagues to your school and be proud, boast of it that yes, I have a great school. The infrastructure, they are very good than before. Before we don't have enough chairs to sit down, enough benches, but now they've renovated all those things, they've renovated the schools, you have enough chairs, even you have best of the teachers.
To this school, precisely in the year 2000, and as far as the infrastructural facilities are concerned, it was nothing to write home about. But I want to say, without mincing words, that this prototype building that we now have on ground, which has given us about 27 classrooms, has been a right step in the right direction in the good gesture of the Lagos State government to ensure that there are improvements in the school system as certain provisions of infrastructures. So there is a positive improvement over what it used to be when I got into this school.
The present administration has once again proved that leadership is about responsibility by standing up to the challenge of dilapidated infrastructure in the educational sector and confronting it headlong. This initiative once again justifies the enormous confidence reposed in this administration by the teeming populace of Lagos State.
Tonight, State on Focus beams its light on one social aspect that is quite important, yet taken for granted: the creation of recreation facilities for the youths. In our last edition, the program examined the efforts of Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu on formal education, particularly in the area of rehabilitation of school buildings. In this edition, we will show you what the administration has done under informal building of the minds and physical well-being of the youths and the young at heart in the society. A journey of 1,000 years begins with a step, so goes the saying. Today's sports stars were yesterday's kids who jumped, kicked, and ran on those open spaces and recreational centers. Those that excelled are honored for various achievements in the field of sports. The youth of any society is the nature's gift for historical and cultural continuity of that community. A society that neglects its youth begins its own self-extinction. An empowered youth becomes an asset. He or she participates in public projections, inspirations, and contributes to societal development. With the present population projection of close to 16 million people in Lagos State, and over 1/3 of that number falling into the age category described as youths, and furthermore, looking at the importance of this age bracket in all spheres of community development, one realizes that this age group is the powerhouse of the society. Adults spend a certain number of hours daily at some kind of work in order to earn a living or to care for a family, while children spend certain number of hours in the school, place of apprenticeship, or other tasks. But it is necessary for people to devote some of their time to doing things that give them pleasure and help to renew or recreate the mind and the body. It becomes increasingly important as man's labor is being destroyed by his technological advancement and his social life being drastically changed by his unplanned physical development, which leads to city congestions and inadequate infrastructural facilities. Present advancements in technology and complexity of our metropolitan cities require in-depth knowledge of man and his social environment so as to be able to perform his duty accurately and enhance performances. Recent medical report indicates that sudden death and short lifespans are due to inactive and sedentary lifestyles, which is one of the characteristics of the present social structure. Therefore, it becomes essential that man engages in physical activities capable of ameliorating his health condition at a place or environment conducive for such. Opportunities for wholesome recreation are provided by private organizations and through local, state, and federal governments. But the most functional and well-maintained facilities are those owned by the private clubs and companies and meant for the members of such organizations. Patronage of such places is of little significance and relevance to the general community members. In the present social structure, many people fall into the human condition characterized by sustained or chronic deprivation of resources, capabilities, choices, and power necessary for the enjoyment of an adequate standard of living, as well as inadequate civil, cultural, economic, political, and social rights. When parents watch their children faced with this same social phenomenon, the pressure of what the future holds for such children may make parents develop psychological and emotional problems. Families of the low-income bracket people often lack the means to give their children proper recreation. If the child has nowhere else to go, the street usually becomes his playground, where he joins others like himself, and together they form gangs. The lack of wholesome outlets for energies and interests often lead those gangs to seek dangerous forms of amusement. Children subjected to such influences frequently become juvenile delinquents and eventually criminals. The cost to the community of dealing with such problems often far exceeds the cost of providing adequate recreational facilities. The need for physical exercise is severally emphasized by various people, organizations, and groups by calling out people for long-distance trekking or jogging. Recently, for example, the Lagos State civil servants were called out by the wife of the governor, Chief Mrs. Oluremi Tinubu, for such long trekking from Ikeja Local Government Secretariat to the State Government Secretariat, Alausa, a distance of about 3 kilometers. Playground and recreational centers as well as stadia are integral parts of the structures that play an enormous role in balancing the social needs of a community. In Lagos State, each community and municipality in both urban and rural areas set aside spaces for the purpose of recreation and sporting activities. Before now, many of the open spaces have been neglected or totally abandoned to the chagrin of the youths and other members of the communities. The present administration of Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu is very much aware of the importance and necessity of youth engagement in sports and the outdoors in recreation and physical fitness. The administration has therefore taken the bull by the horns with the renovation, rehabilitation, and continued maintenance of some of the open spaces for the greater benefits of the entire people of the community. Recently, the Committee of Wives of Lagos State Officials, COWSO, under the able leadership of the wife of the governor, Chief Mrs. Oluremi Tinubu, embarked on renovation of some open spaces in partnership with the state government. Those that have been completely rehabilitated are Campus Open Space, Ajele Playground, Evans Square, now known as Kudirat Abiola Freedom Square in Ebute Metta, Oniko Youth Center, and Lafiaji Community Center. This is the newly commissioned center at Surulere, Sam Shonibare by Council, which is yet another demonstration of love, motherhood, passion and commitment achieved through joining of forces with the state government to uplift the living standards of the people in the state, especially the less privileged.
From Campus Square till today, I still look at what it is about that my wife persisted saying there must be recreational facility for the old men to stay and relax so that we can prolong their lives. There must be areas where our children can run around to see and learn from the environmental discipline. There must be areas where community can get together and even hold the facilitation with one another. Government, the vision of our wives to be a pillar of support in creating those structures that is necessary for our society to move from blindness to care, from our society to move from primitiveness and wanton destruction of our environment to beautification of it. From our society thinking of yesterday with today's tool, whereas we need to move to a 21st century, rekindle the hope of our children, teach them how to live. Every child has a right to quality environment, quality, good standard of living, good standard of education. They say charity begins at home. If the home is there, that is, if the home is there. Our youth who thought probably they will not have a football pitch to play and practice soccer. We know your talents, and we must develop and encourage your talents. Among you will be Okocha and many other renowned names in football. We must encourage you. We will build Obele Oniwahala Youth Center. We will combat that. I don't care. So don't worry. You are in my heart. Because you are the talent. You need the recreation. You need the exercise. We will build another recreational sports center. And the green area behind Eagle Club, we will convert that. We will not allow petrol station to be built there. And the shared club, it will be for you. It's a green area that must be maintained.
More open spaces would soon witness remarkable changes from their deteriorated conditions to first-class recreational facilities.
I'm working on 11 of them, and specifically they are spread among 11 different local governments, but all spread across the 3 senatorial districts. We have in Ekpe town and Ekpe local government. We are moving to commence work in Oshodi, the Jalisco Sports Center. We are also commencing work in Ajegunle, working on Maranatha Mini Stadium. We are commencing work at Koshofe, same for Ifako Ijayi, and Limosho, Badagry Youth Center, and of course we also have in Ikorodu. Actually we have a center whose construction would have completed by now at Igbobo, but unfortunately because of some problems that we had, with some of the people who had encroached on the land, and of course including the police department in Igbobo, who felt the place now had been acquired by them, and until this matter is resolved, we really cannot go ahead with whatever we're trying to do with the Igbobo Youth Center.
Sports and recreation demand a combination of physical skills, strength, an alert mind, enthusiasm, as well as teamwork. Many friendships are formed through sports. The ability of people to get along with each other receives one of its greatest tests in sports competitions. Today, the Lagos State Ministry of Youth, Sports and Social Development is engaged in various rehabilitation activities at several open spaces.
We have enjoyed good rapport and embrace by the people of all the other communities, also including Obele Oniwala Youth Center in Surulere. Work is going on all these areas, and we're doing this in addition to the 26 youth centers and open spaces, playgrounds that we maintain right across the state. There's no doubt in the fact that we have lost a good number of our open spaces and playgrounds, to people who had encroached, on them, to trespassers of all categories.
As mentioned earlier, each community and municipality in both urban and rural areas usually set aside spaces for the purpose of recreation and sporting activities. However, this laudable arrangement is being threatened nowadays by land speculators who are driven by greed and personal interests. Some of these spaces are facing critical battle of ownership. Concerted efforts are usually put in place by members of the community, government and some well-meaning individuals to rescue the spaces from the clutches of those who intend to misuse them. The battle over the Festac Recreational Center and Bagada Playground are good instances. Issues of security and continued maintenance of these rehabilitated centers are also of paramount importance.
I want to say that some of these centers have been managed by the Community Development Association, some have been managed by youth officers who are deployed to these community centers. Well, I would say the reason why the ministry gave this permission to the Community Development Association is because they live within that community and they know the place very well. So they will be able to give a proper supervision and ensure that all the facilities provided by the government are well kept. And no intruders coming, so if you have people coming from outside to come and destroy the place, they will know that the person is not within their community. So they are just like the police dog for our recreation centers. And they've been doing very well in doing it. So they've been having a day-to-day supervision of our recreation centers. Yes, sir.
To make the facilities available to the general public, laws are promulgated by the government.
National use in our development plans. This means that anytime we plan for a town or a neighborhood, we must provide for public open spaces for the neighborhood. These public open spaces are provided for the public use, but it is also important that when such a provision is made, the provision is properly utilized and enhanced. This means that a place such as this will be properly grassed and equipped with children's playground, with a football pitch, with a gym, with a spa, with a massage center. All those things should be incorporated as part of a public open space. And of course, for the elderly who don't want to exercise, who just want to sit down in one corner and read newspapers, there should be a sitting area where there will be seats for them to sit down under the trees, bring their grandchildren, sit around, read the newspapers and chat.
At the Anthony Village Open Space and Onikon Youth Center, some individuals established gymnastic facilities for the use of the general public, free.
For the youth, it gets the youth out of trouble, and they can have where to come and train. And also, it's good for the community, exercise, their body and their mind and their soul. And also, Me personally, this gym has helped me. You know, this is where I started as a grassroots, and all the way to the Olympic Games to represent Nigeria. This is where I started. So there's a lot of benefits, you know, for the gym.
My team for giving me the privilege to use my little initiative to do something that the community will benefit from. One, we look most of our young teenage youths growing up, and idolize the devil workshop. So we put one or two things together. We'll find out that putting things like this will keep them busy. Then from them, put them away from trouble. That's why we create things like this. And at the end of the day, there are too many benefits to get from it. Because from this kind of exercise, you become a boxer in the near future, you become a sprinter, you become a professional wrestler, a martial art, or whatever, a keep fit man. But the best of it all is people from the community will benefit physical and good health-wise.
Unification of minds and purposes are also very necessary for communities to strive for better standards of living.
Well, it is true that the community are actually doing the thing themselves. But if I may tell you, that some people have started this place ever before and they left it like this. It's for other people to take it up and build more better things on it than just for us to leave it. But you see, like, I will not shift the whole blame on the government. I still want to go back to the community itself. Why? If the community comes together and go to the government should listen and try to do something, but the community itself is divided. Let's first of all get that basic thing. Within ourselves in this Antony village, as it is, some people do not see this place to be in a very good form of recreation center than just to commercialize it for their own selfish interest. Look, for example, if you look at what I'm looking at, the Rotary Club of Antony Village, build this place as a library. I believe the Antony Village people should come up and develop on what Rotary have put there to become a proper library for our children, schools, and everybody to make use of it. Do we do that? See what happens to it. Some people gather together and remove the roof in terms of using it for commercial purposes. And we, the Antony Village Association, stop them. That you can't do this. And ever since then, they have not deemed fit to come back and put the roof back. That's one. Two, the Antony Village Association have made a lot of moves. We've been taking proper care of this place. And I thank one honorable, is a father, when we fought for this place with our Shamu family and things like that. We were here. A lot of people are in this community that I can tell them today, Uncle Sam, Mrs. Binley, Mrs. George, and more and more. Even Shiftire, late Beko, we all came together to fight all these land speculators that they should get away from here, and which we did with Honorable Alibioshu, who actually stood behind us.
Getting government to pay attention in the first place would be a very good idea. What we do here is make little monthly contributions. But the problem we have is the fact that there are interlopers. For years we've been fighting to prevent people coming to take the place over for private use, to park cars and things and prevent people using it for public purposes. I think if the government will come to the aid of the community here, it will be very helpful to all of us, because the lives of the community are here. Every day people exercise here. On the weekend you find 100 people or more all trying to keep healthy.
Well, the maintenance has been to from the other women that we exercise together by appealing to them, contributing 500 naira at least a month towards the maintenance. We have a gentleman gardener that help us to pick and cut the grass, general maintenance, which is not really enough. We could really do better, because people are not actually responding as we expected. So we really appreciate if Lagos State Youth and Sports can come to our aid. This is where we've made a lot of efforts towards that, but like every Nigerian factor things, we haven't been able to meet up.
In developed countries, individuals, private organizations, and religious groups provide and maintain recreational facilities for the use of the entire members of the community. One expects that the successful members of this society will take a cue from that gesture and contribute towards community-oriented projects of this nature, which everybody can benefit from. The NGOs and other well-meaning members of the communities would do well to collaborate with local or state governments in providing suitable environments and adequate facilities for wholesome recreation. Indeed, the community would be better for it. Youths would also acquire skills for better future, while the adults would be in good health, which in turn would prolong lifespans. Sound mind in sound body is a collective responsibility of all of us.
In any nation, the public service plays a vital role, due to first as the most constant organ of government, and more importantly, as the will that determines the speed at which government responds to the needs of the people. Tonight, State on Focus beams its light on the appointment of the head of service, Lagos State. You will also see why the dynamic, purposeful, and people-oriented administration of Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu has chosen him at this crucial stage of the administration. Clearly, it must be pointed out that the present level of development in the state, without being immodest, attests to the worth of human resources available within the state public service. Whichever increase in population, expansion in economic activities, the challenge of providing adequate infrastructure and maintaining the state's revered position as the nation's industrial, economic and commercial capital, as well as being the center of excellence, is no doubt a mean task which only a robust and forward-looking workforce like that of Lagos State Public Service can sustain. From all indications, it can be said that the Lagos State Public Service has been blessed with visionary leaders who have contributed their quota in different ways to the development of the service and, in turn, the state. Statutorily, the service is led by the head of service in terms of leadership, visions, responsibility, and even challenges. The office of the Lagos State Head of Service holds tremendous weight. In the history of this exalted office up till January 2006, 14 distinguished career public servants have occupied this office. On the 27th of February 2006, Mr. Yakub Abiodun Akoni Balogun was appointed the new head of service, therefore becoming the 15th person to occupy this great office.
I will not discriminate on the basis of religion, tribe, or status, or practice any form of partiality in the performance of official duties. I will always bring service to the public above self-based interests, realizing that the public is what we trust. I will always perform my official duties correctly and efficiently. I will not engage or be involved in any activity to conflict either directly with this stage. I will, in the performance of my official duties, eschew and expose corruption in any of these facets. In or outside the public service, I will always follow the path of justice, honesty, and concord among all people of Lagos State, in particular and Nigeria in general, in all everything. So, I don't know what
The appointment of this public servant was an outcome of no doubt a keenly and highly competitive selection process. Prior to his being announced as the #1 civil servant in the state, the whole establishment was highly charged as discussions centered on who would emerge between him and other equally qualified and suitable candidates for the position. His appointment was therefore greeted with great enthusiasm and expectations, particularly among the workforce who saw in him a great source of inspiration. It was therefore in response to these great expectations that immediately after the swearing-in ceremony, Yakub Abiodun Balogun went to work. His first assignment was to bring relief to the public servant from the inconveniences of staff canteen operators. Realizing the importance of providing good food in time and at affordable price, the new head of service introduced pay and pick service system. This new initiative has therefore reduced considerably the man-hours lost while waiting to buy food. It has also made the food packaging system neater and standardized. In addition, the service hours of the canteen has been extended from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m., which has made the service quite flexible. Similarly, there is now the shift system, which have forced the cooks to work overnight in order to get the food ready on time.
The food is up to standard and neatness. The staffs are okay. The advantage of using the canteen is because the food here is cheap, it's manageable,
unlike going outside to get food. That is one thing, and it's also neat, and people who are preparing it are qualified people.
The food is very nice, and they serve us well.
The new changes we have in the canteen ever since the arrival of the new head of service. Initially, we were only serving on plates and people bringing in their plates and we serve them. But as it is now, in order to eradicate delay, at least to some extent, to make the service as fast as possible, we now introduced packs. That is a takeaway pack. So we now serve the meals inside the takeaway pack, and so that when people now come, they pick up the meals immediately and they leave. So there is no time wasting as it used to be.
Through with this, the new head of service, Yakub Balogun, turned his attention to staff buses. To prove his commitment to this, 11 out of 22 buses were refurbished within the short period of time. He became the #1 civil servant in the state. To further ensure that the services of the staff buses reach a large percentage of the staff, 9 additional buses have been acquired into the centralized bus system. This singular step has given hundreds of workers the opportunity to use the staff buses rather than commuting by public transport with its attendant stress and inconveniences.
See, this is part of it. The new bus, now we have a 9 additional bus. Look at the time we are getting new bus. This is the first one we have seen that the new HOS have done for the staff. The bus and the maintenance of the staff bus and the maintenance of the office of the CSB pavilion and the maintenance of the PSO and everything.
He's a man of the people, and he is the first head of service that will come closer to all civil servants, both the senior and the junior. We've heard about 3 different head of service when I was at PSO, but none of them, maybe one of them, get to our side to talk with us. Well, since he came into service, into the post of head of service, he always come to us